Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a powerful biblical concept, the pride of life. What does it mean and how does it affect our lives? Here are my thoughts. This phrase, pride of life, comes from 1 John, chapter 2, verse 16, which states, "For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, and the desires of the eyes and pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world." The verse warns us about the dangers of overworldly desires, emphasizing that they are not from God, but from the world. The pride of life is particularly insidious because it can manifest in many forms, often subtly influencing our thoughts and actions. But what exactly is the pride of life? It's more than just arrogance or vanity. It encompasses a wider spectrum of attitudes and behaviors that elevate our own importance above all else. It refers to an excessive belief in our own abilities or achievements, often linked to material success and social status. This can be seen in the relentless pursuit of wealth, power, and recognition, where our self-worth is measured by what we have accomplished externally. The pride of life is evident in our society's obsession with luxury and status symbols. From glitzy mansions to high-rise office buildings and the curated lives of social media influencers, the appeal of material success is always there. This pride can lead us away from God and the values He teaches us. When we prioritize our own achievements and possessions, we risk neglecting our spiritual well-being and our relationship with God by making the material things our God. Instead of relying on our own strength, we're called to recognize our need for His guidance. True fulfillment comes not from worldly success, but from living a life aligned with God's will for us. This means valuing humility, compassion, and service to others. Throughout history, many have exemplified this principle. Figures known for their humility and service, who chose simple living over opulence, remind us of the true essence of a meaningful life. By turning to Scripture and prayer, we can find the strength to resist the temptations of the pride of life. Embracing a life of faith and humility allows us to experience deeper joy and contentment. In our daily lives, we can combat the pride of life by focusing on acts of kindness, building genuine relationships, and contributing to our communities. These actions reflect the love and humility that God calls us to embody. Ultimately, the pride of life is a distraction from our true purpose. By seeking God's guidance and living according to His principles, we can find lasting peace and fulfillment, free from the fleeting allure of worldly pride. To understand the pride of life better, let's look at the broader context of 1 John. This epistle, written by the Apostle John, addresses the community, guiding them on how to live a life that is pleasing to God. It emphasizes the importance of love, obedience, and the rejection of worldly temptations for their own good. The passage mentions three main temptations: the lust of the flesh, which refers to the desires that arise from our physical bodies. These can include gluttony, hypercarnal indulgence, and other forms of bodily satisfactions that prioritize physical satisfaction over spiritual well-being. The lust of the eyes, on the other hand, pertains to the covetousness and envy that can arise from what we see. This temptation drives us to desire material possessions, wealth, and the superficial beauty of the world, often leading to a sense of dissatisfaction and greed. And then there's the pride of life. This temptation is about seeking validation and self-worth through our achievements, status, and recognition from others. It can manifest as arrogance, boasting, and a relentless pursuit of success at the expense of our spiritual health. Each of these temptations pulls us away from a relationship with God. They distract us from our spiritual journey and lead us to focus on temporary, worldly pleasures instead of eternal divine truths. The Apostle John warns us to be vigilant and to guard our hearts against these temptations. The Pride of Life specifically encourages us to find our identity and worth in our accomplishments rather than in our Creator. It can lead to a false sense of security and self-sufficiency, making us forget our dependence on God. By understanding these temptations and their impact, we can strive to live a life that is more aligned with God's will, finding true fulfillment and purpose in our relationship with Him. So why is pride considered dangerous? Let's us see Proverbs 16:18 states, "Pride goes before destruction." When we focus too much on ourselves, we can become blind to our faults and the needs of others. Pride can lead to isolation, arrogance, and ultimately a disconnection from God and others. True fulfillment comes from humility and surrendering our lives to Him. Now that we understand the dangers of pride, we can begin to explore the virtues of humility. Pride can often lead us astray, making us believe that we are self-sufficient and above others. It blinds us to our own faults and creates barriers between us and those around us. But humility, on the other hand, opens our hearts and minds, allowing us to grow and connect more deeply with others. So how can we cultivate humility in our lives? It's not something that happens overnight, but with intentional practice and a sincere heart, we can nurture this virtue. Humility begins with self-awareness and a willingness to see ourselves as we truly are, both our strengths and our weaknesses. Here are a few practical steps to help you on this journey. First, recognize your strengths but acknowledge your weaknesses. This means being honest with yourself about your abilities and limitations. It's important to celebrate your achievements, but also to understand that you're not perfect and that there is always room for improvement. Second, serve others and put their needs before your own. Acts of service can be a powerful way to cultivate humility. When we help others, we shift our focus from ourselves to the well-being of those around us. Serving others can take many forms, from volunteering at a local shelter to simply offering a helping hand to a neighbor. These acts of kindness remind us that we are part of a larger community and that our actions can have a positive impact on the lives of others. Third, spend time in prayer and reflection. This is a time to connect with God and seek guidance. Prayer helps us to stay grounded and reminds us of our dependence on a higher power. It's a moment to express gratitude for the blessings in our lives and to ask for the strength to overcome our shortcomings. Asking God to help you stay grounded is a humbling experience in itself. It acknowledges that we cannot do everything on our own and that we need divine assistance to navigate the challenges of life. Reflection, on the other hand, allows us to look inward and assess our actions and attitudes. It's a time to consider how we can improve and become more aligned with the values of humility and compassion. These practices can help shift our focus from ourselves to God and others, fostering a more humble spirit. When we prioritize the needs of others and seek to serve rather than be served, we begin to see the world through a different lens. Humility is not about thinking less of ourselves, but rather thinking of ourselves less. It's about recognizing our place in the grand scheme of things and understanding that we are all interconnected. By cultivating humility, we open ourselves up to deeper relationships, greater empathy, and a more fulfilling life. It's a journey that requires patience and dedication, but the rewards are immeasurable. Let us strive to be humble in our daily lives, always seeking to lift others up and to grow in our own understanding and compassion. In conclusion, the pride of life can be a significant barrier to our spiritual growth. By understanding its dangers and actively pursuing humility, we can live more fulfilling and purpose-driven lives. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. See you next time.